In November 2013, I was spending my Saturdays lying on the couch and I couldn't run more than 2 miles at a time. On March 2nd, 2014 though, I completed my first half marathon, finishing 13.1 miles in just over 2 hours. Now the idea of running your first half marathon can be an exciting but terrifying thought for most people. What they don't understand though is it's completely doable for anyone like you and me. If you follow these steps that I'm about to discuss, finding the right equipment, planning out your nutrition, and the physical plan I will discuss, then there's no reason why you too can't be crossing the finish line in less than 3 months from today. Now before you begin your actual training, the first thing you need to do is buy the proper equipment. In order to avoid injuries, you should invest in a good pair of running shoes. Now athletic shoes aren't going to do the trick because they're not going to provide you with enough support and comfort for these long distances. Online websites like runnersworld.com provides a list of different shoes out there and lists their characteristics. I found this list to be extremely helpful when shopping for shoes. Next, you want to consider the type of climate you're going to be running in and take that into consideration to purchase a wardrobe accordingly. Regardless of the temperatures though, you're going to want to find fabrics that are breathable and sweat wicking. These will provide or protect you from excess heat or rubbing that could cause irritation during your workouts. Once you have the proper equipment, you're almost ready to start your training. But before you do the physical part, you need to understand what goes into keeping you healthy and the types of foods you need to eat. In order to be successful in training for a half marathon and get the most out of your workouts, you need to know not only what to eat, but when to eat it. Running uses carbohydrates as its main source of energy to fuel your body on the long runs. That's why Yale Lipton for Fitness magazine suggests that 60 to 70% of your diet, of your calories when you're training, come from carbohydrates such as pastas, grains, or breads. In my personal experience, the night before long runs, I would do what we runners call carb loading, which is stocking up on lots of carbs so that you have enough energy for the next day. I would have some sort of main pasta dish with a little bit of protein, usually in the form of chicken, to get me through the day. Moving on to next, the morning of your runs. You want to consume a small meal that has a little bit of carbs and a little bit of proteins to help you get started. RunOnTexas.com suggests to have this meal 1.5 to 2 hours before your run, and it should be anything from a bowl of cereal and milk, a bagel with some peanut butter, or even your favorite energy bar. Now the reason why you're going to want to have this so far in advance before you run is to allow your body to digest your food so you don't start running, feel full, and then you feel nauseous, and then you can't get anything out of your run because you're going to have to stop too soon. Most importantly though, after running, you need to make sure that within 30 minutes to an hour after you complete your workout, you replenish your body with the nutrients it has lost from your exercise. You want to focus on rebuilding your glycogen levels, and a good way to do that is through getting a little bit of your carbohydrates since you burn so much, but really get that protein, because the protein is what's going to help you repair those muscles that may have been damaged during your exercises. So now you know how to take care of your body, both from a safety point of equipment and from the health viewpoint of what kinds of food you should be eating. So let's move on to the most important and most exciting part of training, the physical exercise. The training plan that I chose to follow for my first half marathon that I'll share with you today spans out over 8 weeks' time. It's both extremely time manageable and adaptable for all fitness levels. Before you actually start the 8 weeks of training, you need to build up what we call a running base. A running base simply allows your body to get used to running so you know what kinds of stresses and impacts to expect. And it's just like that, it's just running beforehand. RunnersWorld.com says that you should be running for 3 times a week for at least 30 minutes, a couple weeks beforehand, so that your body gets used to it. Once you have that running base, now you get to start the 8-week plan. It consists of 8 weeks of running, like I've mentioned, and you'll have 3 runs during each week. 2 of them will be short runs, and then you'll have 1 long run, usually done on the weekends. Now, this part is where it might get a little bit tricky. Your 2 short runs together should equal the distance of your long run. So for example, in week 1, each short run will be 2 miles each, and then your long run will be 4 miles. Now each week, you're going to increase your short runs by half a mile each, and your long runs by a mile each. This increment will allow you to Build up your endurance at a very successful pace while also keeping yourself safe and not pushing too far and possibly incurring an injury. At this increments, by the end of 8 weeks, you'll complete a long run equal to 11 miles, which is only 2 short of the half marathon distance. Now, if you're wondering why you don't run the 13.1 miles ahead of time, it's because by doing so, you're likely to peak too soon or incur an injury that could hinder your performance on race day. You want to save your absolute best run for race day. Simply running those 3 days a week is not enough, though. Next, you want to consider 2 forms of cross-training to complete on the days that you're not running. Active.com suggests that the most beneficial forms of cross-training for runners is plyometrics, power yoga, spinning, or swimming. These are going to give your joints a rest from the hard impacts of running while still keeping your body active. Don't worry though, if none of those sound appealing to you, you can simply supplement your favorite form of cardio and for cross-training. As long as you're staying active, that's really the important part. So that brings us to a total of 5 days that we have discussed. And now we'll move on to the final 2 days, which are your rest days. Now these are crucial for you to take off and allow your body to rest and recover from the stresses that you've just put on it. And prepare yourself for the next week, because each week you're going to be increasing your runs and pushing yourself harder and harder. So the most challenging part of completing your first half marathon is preparing and training for it. But if you paid attention, I just provided you with the 3 main things to help you prepare and train for it. Buy the proper equipment, plan your nutrition, and have a schedule to follow. If you do all these, there's no reason why I can't be seeing you at the finish line in less than 3 months. What am I at?
6:53. Wait, did you have to go around and do it again?
Go around one more time.
That was good, Amy. Clap her in the back.
Yay! You did it.